In a grand, solemn Buddhist temple, a group of disciples diligently studied Buddha's teachings under the careful guidance of their master. However, this place of supposed tranquility and spiritual cultivation was tainted by an unhealthy atmosphere. Instead of devoting themselves to meditation and inner refinement, the disciples' school ended much of their time gossiping and criticizing one another. Among these chatterers, Vice stood out for his excessive verbal behavior. He relished in spreading hearsay collected during alms rounds in nearby villages, and was fond of self-aggrandizement, boasting of his noble birth and the luxurious life he could have led, but chose instead to pursue Buddhism and seek truth. One day, the master decided to put the disciples through a special test. He summoned them and required each to make a vow lasting 1 month, aimed at challenging their willpower and determination. Failure to uphold the vow would result in their regression to their lifestyle from 2 years prior. Each disciple solemnly pledged their commitment. Among them, the self-important Tawan made a request to the master. "Master, I wish to make a vow surpassing all others. Grant me an extraordinary challenge." The master smiled and asked in return, "Are you certain you can withstand the vow I will bestow upon you?" Driven by pride, Tawan confidently replied, "Master, I am capable of anything." The master smiled once more and calmly declared, "In that case, for the next month, your vow shall be to maintain absolute silence." Tawan, however, regarded this vow as trivial and requested a more arduous challenge. The master insisted, "First prove yourself with this seemingly simple vow." Although Tawan was discontent, he obeyed his master and began his journey into silence. At first, maintaining silence seemed effortless, but as time passed, the weight of silence gradually revealed itself. By the second day, he began feeling uncomfortable. On the third day, unease began to fester, and by the fourth day, his longing for speech burned within him like wildfire, especially when witnessing other disciples engaging in free conversation. As a natural talker, he struggled mightily to restrain himself, battling against the torment of silence. Day by day, silence weighed upon him like an invisible shackle, leaving him feeling oppressed and weary. Eventually, he could bear it no longer and approached the master, pleading, "Master, I can no longer endure this silence. It is driving me to the brink of madness. Please allow me to break my vow." The master responded with profound yet serene word, "I did not force you to make this vow, and thus, I cannot force you to break it. It was your own choice. Many of your peers have already abandoned their vows. If you cannot persist, you may decide for yourself. But remember that upholding a vow is about mastering your own mind. Otherwise, a weakening of willpower will ensue." The master's words stung Tawan deeply, and he retreated to his quarters, spending most of his time in solitude. Despite the ongoing commotion around him, he steadfastly maintained his silence, astonishing the entire monastic community. Several days later, he returned to the master and wrote, "Master, though I am outwardly silent, my mind is a tumultuous sea. I am engaged in a fierce battle with my inner thoughts." The master, perceiving his inner struggle, advised him, as long as he remained in the temple, the voices of other monks would continue to distract him. Thus, he should seek solace in a more secluded place. Tawan, deeply inspired, left the temple and ventured into the nearby dense forest. When the month-long vow period elapsed, Tawan did not return as expected, causing deep concern among the other disciples, who feared he might have been attacked by wild beasts during his solitary sojourn in the woods. The master, however, remained optimistic, believing Tawan's decision to distance himself from the temple must have had a deeper purpose. 2 months passed, and Tawan remained unaccounted for. The monks at the temple had almost given up hope for him. even surmising that he might have already fallen victim to wild beasts. Even after 3 months, he remained vanished, and the others gradually began to forget about him. Yet, just as they were on the verge of forgetting him completely, Tawan suddenly returned to the temple, his reappearance bringing immense joy and surprise to everyone. Strikingly, he seemed transformed, exuding an unprecedented calm and serenity. Excitedly, the other disciples gathered around him, eager to learn about his experiences during his absence. They noticed that he was no longer as impulsive or verbose as before, his speech now imbued with a serene and profound charm. After conversing with the others, Tawan approached the master, bowing deeply, and asked, "Master, am I still in silence? Is my vow still ongoing?" The master, gazing at him with profound eyes, replied, "Yes, you are still in silence, and your vow continues." The other disciples were astonished, asking, "Master, he is speaking to you now. How can you say his vow of silence is still ongoing?" The master explained, "Yes, he is speaking, but deep within his heart, there is absolute stillness. Hence I say his vow remains intact." The master then inquired about Tawan's 3-month sojourn in the forest. Tawan began to narrate, "Master, when I left the temple, I appeared silent, but inside, I was struggling in a sea of ceaseless contemplation, hoping the forest would help me quell the turmoil within. However, my efforts only exacerbated my inner restlessness. Eventually, I abandoned my attempts to forcibly control my thoughts, and instead began observing my mind without judgment. Gradually, my mind grew calmer, and the agitation subsided. I became aware of my past transgressions, backbiting, arrogance, and idle chatter. As I observed my mind as an impartial spectator, my mind began to shed impurities and become clearer. I delved deep into my heart, patiently cleansing every rising thought. I noticed a significant transformation taking place. The inner noise gradually receded, replaced by profound calm and serenity. Gradually, my mind became ethereal, and I fully lived in the present, experiencing the essence of life through silence and tranquility. Then, I feared losing this serenity, but I realized that fear itself was a product of the I concept, while the true I was the awareness that observed everything. Once I realized this, fear lost its footing. He gratefully looked at the master, speaking with sincerity, "Master, it is through your teachings that I have reached this state of tranquility." The master blessed him with compassionate eyes, and then addressed all the other disciples. "You see, I have often cautioned you that forcibly suppressing thoughts is not the solution. Only by becoming an observer of our thoughts can we, over time, naturally pacify them, allowing every chaotic thought to subside. Reflecting on our lives, we find that we all seek inner peace, yet it often eludes us because we lack understanding of the nature of thoughts. We attempt to control them forcibly, unaware that this only agitates the mind further. But when we begin to observe the activity of our mind, it naturally calms down, much like a thief cannot steal when being watched. Similarly, when we start observing our own mind, it ceases its aimless wandering and becomes tranquil. Therefore, instead of trying to control our thoughts, we need to observe them with an unbiased attitude, much like calmly observing a river flow, without being swayed by every ripple. This practice, known as mindfulness, is simply being aware of the arising and passing of thoughts without getting entangled in them. Through consistent mindfulness practice, our mind gradually becomes more peaceful, and our thoughts become more orderly. This enables us to confront life's challenges with greater clarity and creativity, tap into our latent potential, and find a deeper, more enduring peace in the present moment. So, if you yearn for a tranquil mind and a genuine experience of peace, try finding a quiet place, closing your eyes, and simply observing the coming and going of your thoughts. Practicing patience and perseverance, you will discover that your mind naturally grows more serene, and you will find a new, profound peace in your life. Thank you for listening to this story, and may it bring insight and tranquility to your mind. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe to this channel as we continue to share profound stories on spiritual growth, Zen wisdom, and the philosophy of life, journeying together to uncover the essence of life and embracing inner peace. Thank you once again for your attention, and I look forward to encountering you in our future sharings.